Okay. So the last couple stories are going to be about arguably the biggest movie in the last couple weeks. Okay. And that is Super Mario. Super Mario has just absolutely crushed all of the competition, every single one of them. Now, it's interesting. So before we get into the numbers about it, there's something else about Super Mario that's very impressive, and I'll get to that in a couple minutes. But this comes from the Hollywood Reporter, and it talks about how Super Mario led the way for the April bloom of films. The April box office is in full bloom thanks to the astounding performance of the Super Mario movie, which served up the biggest global opening of all time for an animated film, with $375 million over the long Easter weekend. And it shows no signs of slowing down as it prepares to jump to the next level and clears the $500 million global mark in the next few days. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Its massive 5-day domestic opening of $246 million includes $146.4 million for the 3-day weekend. Now, let me put this in perspective real quick. That number that I just read to you guys is number 30 all time, just $2 million shy behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And Amazon kicked off a new era of this streaming, giving Ben Affleck adult-skewing drama Air a proper theatrical release in thousands of theaters and sending it straight to Amazon Prime Video. Of course, that was huge. And I had been saying for weeks that was going to overperform, and it did. Okay, it made $20 million, and it's only going to get bigger. And you're going to have all the revenue from streaming. So, Apple Original Films is also switching course and making a foray into theatrical, including Martin Scorsese's Killer of the Flower Moon. The Czech giant is partnering with Paramount on the release. Scorsese's film, which will make a splashy debut at the Cannes Film Festival, opening in theaters around the world this fall during award season. Well, think about it. It's costing them $200 million to make. Okay? They have some of the biggest stars in the world. Okay? Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, directed by Martin Scorsese. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And they see what Netflix did with 1 week of Glass Onion. So, 3 years after COVID-19 first destabilized the theatrical sector, a breadth and depth of product is returning to the marquee, providing a glimmer of hope of fretful Hollywood studios and exhibitors. Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and DC's Shazam! Fury of the Gods may have underperformed, but March's releases Scream 6 and Creed 3 and John Wick Chapter 4 are all major box office wins. A varied pipeline of product once again is flowing at the pre-pandemic levels, at least in August and throughout the early summer. There are 15 nationwide releases slotted for April, compared to the 11th in 2019 and 2018, according to ComScore, And there is a total of 34 releases set for April, May, and June, one more than the 33 during the same quarter in 2019. Now, let me read the quote, and then I'll finish the sentence and I'll say something. I would characterize April as being the broadest slate we've ever had from a number of different distributors that can draw into a broad audience that is sustainable than a single big film, says Elizabeth Frank, AMC's Theater's Executive VP Worldwide Programming and Chief Content Creator. That's a very good thing for the moviegoers of all age. So she brings up a fantastic point, okay? And the point is this. There is stuff here that is that's out there for everybody. So let's get to one of the comments real quick. RoboCop with Peter Weller, but he's handing off the job to a younger cop. Yeah, that works, David. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that could easily work. I really do, because the thing is, it's one of those franchises that's underrated. And when you've had a couple of bad sequels or remake, in case of 2014 one, what ends up happening is people forget about it. So I don't know. I think that would be I think that would be a fascinating thing. But getting back to the Mario for a minute, this is the first time, and so they're talking about the number of releases. Okay, they're talking about the number of releases slated for April, and then April, May, and June. And I've said this constantly. This is going to be the first time, okay, that you are going to be for the first time that you are going to be able to walk to the movie theater, or okay. And now, two things. Number one, okay, two things. Number one, this is the first time that you have movies for everybody. You've had a Scream 6, which is appealing to the 18 to 34 crowd. You have Super Mario, which is appealing to the younger generation, the kids. You have a John Wick 4, which is appealing to the adults. Air, which is appealing to the adults. This is the first time you have things for everybody there, which is very, very good. And the second thing I'm going to say is this is going to be the first time in about 5 years we as moviegoers are going to be, it's going to be an abundance of fridges, because we're going to have 9 movies come out in 12 weeks that are amazing. Every single one of them. Okay? Whether it's Guardians of the Galaxy, whether it is Fast 10, whether it is Across the Spider-Verse, whether it is The Flash, whether it is, Barbie, whether it is Oppenheimer, whether it is Mission Impossible, it doesn't matter. We're going to have so many movies for so many different people. Huge. So let me finish the piece real quick. And not only did Super Mario Brothers exceed expectations, but so did Air, a period biographical drama about Nike's successful bid to sign up an up-and-coming Michael Jordan. Adult dramas have been a tough time since the pandemic, but Air posted a promising 5-day debut of $20.2 million against a production budget of $90 million before marketing. Initially, after opening to a tepid numbers on April 5th, a Wednesday, Amazon insiders were predicting a 5-day opening of just around 16 million, but traffic picked up in earnest by Friday. Nearly 40% of ticket buyers were 45 or older, including a whopping 25% over 55. Overseas, the movie opened with $10.5 million from 59 markets and a global start of $30.7 million. I'll say this much. The fact is, I loved Air. And by the way, guys, go back and watch the spoiler cast I did, and I'll put it up there in the little thing for you. It was amazing. It really, really was. I'm kind of biased. I'm from Boston, yes, but more importantly, I'm a big poker fan, as anybody who knows me knows. I thought this was Matt Damon's second best performance. Now, truth be told, I haven't seen The Martian. I haven't seen a couple of other things. However, anybody who's watched Air, that boardroom speech, soliloquy was incredible. And by the way, this is never going to make all its money back. Okay? Amazon knows this. They know it. But they're willing to roll the dice and do something about it. In addition to attracting families, Mario's defined expectations by appealing to general audiences who grew up playing the games. 45% of ticket buyers were between the age of 18 to 34, compared with 27% for fellow Illumination titles Minion: The Rise of Grogu, which grossed $123 million in its 4-day domestic box office over the 2024 July 4th holiday, including $107 million for the first 3 days, on its way to almost $1 billion globally last year. Mario is once again living proof that families and audiences of all generations want to go to the theaters in droves, said analyst Sean Robbins of Box Office Pro. noting the lack of content for long stretches of time in 2022. Mario and Air added to the chorus of a great box office run to end the year's first quarter and started the second, with what feels like normalcy. Perhaps the best part of it is that the content will keep coming around. This is quite a long article. Oh, I'll finish it. There's not much left. Over the course of the April 14th to 16th weekend, no fewer than 5 films are opening wide. The Nicolas Cage vampire comedy, as I was making mention of, Renford. The Russell Crowe supernatural thriller, The Pope's Exodus. Comedy, Mafia Mama, starring Toni Collette. And we have Sweetwater. So while domestic box office revenue year to date is $2.1 billion and it's up 29% from 2022, it is nevertheless down 19% from 2019, prompting continued concerns about the overall box office recovery. The breadth and quality of the planned movie releases should temper theater risk concerns in lift attendance. Credit film Fitch Ratings said April 10th, but warned that the attendance may have a hard time returning to pre-pandemic levels. But the mood amongst analysts and theater owners certainly improved with Super Mario's sensational showing. With the overall increased numbers of films, the industry finally has hit a pre-pandemic level of constant, animated, and family-friendly flicks throughout the summer and year and holiday, says Robbins, all which kickstarted by Mario. Okay, couple quick things. Number one, we're going to have a huge summer. I don't think there's any question about that. I did a piece about 3 or 4 months ago stating that, according to experts out there, hypothetically, you could see between 7 to 8 $1 billion films. That's how big it could be. Okay. And when you run the gamut, they're not wrong. Now, that being said, 2019 was huge. Okay. It made almost $14 billion. And there's a couple reasons why. Okay. You had Black Panther. Okay. And you had Endgame. Endgame made almost $3 billion all by itself. Black Panther made close to $800 to $900 million. Okay. So the fact is that was, so you're talking about a $3 to $4 billion swing, right? Just right there. Okay. And it's one of those things where it made $1.3 billion. Okay. And that actually came out in 2018. It wasn't 2019. I stand corrected. That being said, you had a movie that made almost $3 billion. One movie. That number I just read to you was cumulative for the year, $2.1 billion. So I don't think you're ever going to see 2019 numbers again, but you'll get close. You might see 8, 9, maybe $9.5 billion. You're never going to see 14 billion. Okay. That being said, though, we're slated for a huge summer. The other thing too is we're probably not going to get back, okay, to pre-pandemic levels, probably until 25, 26, maybe 27. Okay, it's going to take time. Now, with movies like Superman coming out, in a couple of years, and you're going to have all these, that's really going to help. Because you're going to have Marvel, it'll be competing against Marvel and the whole 9 yards. That all being said, though, I think this is a big sign that we've got a ton of stuff to come. And by the way, we're only 2 weeks away. I mean, I just did the story yesterday, okay? Guardians of the Galaxy is projected today at $130 million. So it's one of those things where that's not bad. I mean, it's right around Mario levels. And consider this. Last year, right around this time, Multiverse of Madness made $187 million. Now, of course, all Marvel movies are going to be front-loaded. We all know that. But it's a matter of the second weekend. And there are only going to be a couple of films, and I've said this before, to win 2 weekends, Guardians being the first. Okay? You're going to have The Flash and Indiana Jones as the other two. So if this could make $140 to $150 million, I'm talking about Guardians, it's going to have a huge summer. So, anyways, guys, what do you think? Do you think it's going to get to $1 billion? Do you think Mario could hit $1 billion? Do you think it could finish at $700 million? How much do you think it's going to finish at? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section.